Thanks for joining us on THV 11 Plus for the weekend wrap-up. I'm Rebecca Brown. We start off with new information on a story we first brought to you 2 years ago. The CDC releasing a new report this week revealing the findings of an investigation into the death of an Arkansas child. The child contracted a brain-eating amoeba after playing at the splash pad at the country club of Little Rock back in 2023. The CDC says its investigation found the splash pad was not disinfected correctly and that maintenance reports were not kept for the splash pad or the pool. We reached out to the country club of Little Rock for comment, but have not heard back. While a death like this is rare, it highlights the importance of keeping splash pads and pools clean, especially with summer around the corner. THV 11's Catherine Rowley talked to a local pool and spa maintenance company about how to keep water safe for swimmers of all ages.
I would say the number one thing is going to be, what does it look like and how does it smell?
Just like putting a life jacket on, there are safety measures that should happen to the water to enjoy a fun day at the pool or a splash pad. And the look and smell are two indicators of how safe the pool is.
Safety-wise, as a parent, and I have 4 children, is I want to be able to see to the bottom of that pool. That's telling me that the water is properly sanitized, the filtration system is working, and it's just a safety thing. If a child or someone goes down below the surface and you can't see them, that is not safe.
That chlorine smell that comes from a pool should be a key indicator if you or your family should hop in.
And then smell, we hear, we smell like, oh my gosh, there's too much chlorine. Sometimes we get this chlorine smell. It's actually a lack of chlorine. What you're smelling is the ammonia, the chloramines that have been generated. So we need to shock that pool, oxidize it.
In order to ensure the safety of the chemicals in the pool, David Townley, the CEO and president of Townley Pool and Spa, suggests bringing a sample into a pool store, which can test for common chemicals and lesser known chemicals to keep a pool clean and free of bacteria.
Chlorine is the water safe and been sanitized. And then pH, the overall acid base. How does that water feel to your skin?
Chemicals aren't the only thing that parents or pool owners should watch out for. Algae can be a concern, especially with pools that have sat for the winter.
Do you see how it kind of poofs up and wisps away? That is classic mustard algae there.
David posts YouTube videos for pool owners about pool maintenance. And if you are opening up your pool for the 2025 season and see algae, it's a deeper clean than some realize.
And it's just not, let me just put some chlorine in there. You need to get it properly tested. We need to make sure all of our levels are good and then put an algae killing program in there.
But if you are traveling and aren't sure if the pool is safe, David has some tips on how to keep yourself safe while enjoying a pool.
Or if you're traveling, is you can take a little test strip and you can dip it into the pool water momentarily and pull that out and compare it just real quick, chlorine, pH.
In Little Rock, Catherine Rowley, THV 11 News.
New information for seniors. Some seniors could have their entire monthly Social Security check withheld to repay accidental overpayments. Previously, this group only saw 10% deducted from their checks. The Social Security Administration pays benefits to about 70 million Americans each month, and officials say some receive more than they should. If you are affected, you can request a lower rate of recovery or an appeal. If you are still getting those spam texts about unpaid toll fees, you're not alone. And the Arkansas Attorney General wants to make sure you know how to report them. According to the AG's office, this toll service scam has been around since last year. It may have disappeared for a while, but it is back. The messages say you owe unpaid fees and gives you a link to pay them. But an important thing to remember, Arkansas does not have toll roads. If you get a text, do not send money and report it on the robocall form on the AG's website. The AG also joined Senator Tom Cotton in Washington this week to support a new bill targeting cell phone use in prisons. The Cell Phone Jamming Reform Act would allow state and federal prisons to use technology to block inmates' cell phone signals. Senator Cotton says the technology has proven to address earlier concerns that the signal for the entire facility could be affected.
The technology, since we first introduced this bill, has increased greatly down to very precise targeting. So the correctional leaders we have behind us could tell you we're not even talking about entire prison campuses. We're talking specifically about housing units inside of those prisons.
Senator Cotton now joins 8 others in co-sponsoring the bill. It goes to a Senate committee next for review. New restrictions on a certain dog breed may be coming in the capital city. The debate over pit bulls has sparked discussion for years, and THB 11's Maya Ellison reports on a recent decision that could have major implications for the breed in Little Rock.
It was a case where a pit bull had bit someone a year and a half after it had been adopted from the animal village.
That was Little Rock City Board Director Joan Adcock explaining what triggered a ban on pit bull adoptions at the Little Rock Animal Village. Little Rock City Director of Communications Aaron Sadler says that a jury in a lawsuit, quote, found the city of Little Rock liable for damage related to the incident. After that, limitations were put in place.
And we are not adopting out pit bulls from the animal village at this time.
Michelle Logan, Executive Director of Best Friends Pet Resource Center in Bentonville, says when it comes to safety, it's not about the specific breed itself.
You know, studies show that reckless owners, not the breed of the dog, are the real threat to public safety.
According to the Pit Bull Coalition, the breed faces misinterpretation. North Little Rock currently bans pit bulls altogether. Logan says her team focuses on legislation towards any dog's actions rather than a specific breed.
I would encourage cities to adopt, true comprehensive dangerous dog laws as opposed to laws based on appearance.
Director Adcock says the city's decision will put a halt on adoption of all pit bull breeds, but Logan says safety is bigger than that.
Putting in comprehensive dangerous dog laws is actually what improves public safety.
According to Aaron Sadler, City of Little Rock will appeal the verdict, but for now, no potentially dangerous breeds will be adopted. In a THB 11 update, a Buffalo National River employee who lost her job due to federal downsizing has been rehired. Last week, we introduced you to Stacey Ramsey. Now, she confirms in a Facebook post that she's back at work after a ruling ordered thousands of federal employees to be rehired following mass layoffs. The Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to block the ruling, arguing that a judge cannot force the executive branch to rehire more than 16,000 probationary employees. The newly elected Pine Bluff mayor announcing some big shakeups in the city's public safety this week, firing the police chief and announcing the retirement of the fire chief. I sat down with Mayor Vivian Flowers to get the inside story behind these sudden changes.
The people expect change. They expect bold change.
Change is at the top of Mayor Vivian Flowers' mind as she tries to fulfill a campaign promise. This week, Police Chief Denise Richardson and Fire Chief Sean Howe were let go from their positions. The changes coming as a surprise to many in the community, as Richardson and Howe were long-standing figures in Pine Bluff. How do you ensure the public that although leadership is gone for the moment and we do have an interim, that I'm still ensuring and setting that president of public safety?
The stability of public safety, I think, looks brighter, not because of the addition or the subtraction of just one person, but I think it has to do with the vision, not only of this office, but of the people and of us simply working together.
Mayor Flowers says the changes came without cause. She says her office took a closer look at all the departments to figure out what's needed to continue progress in the city.
And one thing that has been really consistent over the years with all of those examples I just gave is people want to feel safe. People definitely want to see community policing. People definitely want to see a much stronger presence.
She also addressed the transparency issues some had on how they learned about this and what the city plans to do moving forward.
Adopt as a policy that our HR director in the future will, within 24 hours, notify city council members of all hires, all appointments.
Ending is still with the same policies she has been vocal about since she first ran for mayor.
In terms of youth investment, in terms of economic development, with great emphasis on infrastructure and on tourism, and then of course, public safety.
In Pine Bluff, Rebecca Brown, THV 11 News. Mayor Flowers called Chief Denise Richardson's departure a, quote, separation, and said Chief Sean Howell retired in what she called a mutual agreement. The mayor will present her State of the City on Monday. Still to come on your weekend wrap-up, whether you're traveling for spring break or you have already your eyes on summer vacation, we'll verify what you can expect at Clinton National Airport. With spring break this week, many Arkansans may also be planning summer vacations. And if your destination takes you by air, be ready for some changes in progress at the Clinton National Airport. Our Karen Fuller verifies what travelers can expect.
The biggest and most noticeable change for travelers who have yet to visit the Clinton National Airport in recent months is construction on a new canopy project. The airport says the $5.1 million project is happening outside the ticket lobby, and when finished, steel and glass will shield passengers from the weather, among other amenities. But the current traffic flow changes necessary for the renovations have one THV11 viewer asking, "What should I expect if I'm about to fly out of Clinton National?" Let's verify. Our sources are news coverage by THV11, the Clinton National Airport, and Arkansas Money and Politics. During this canopy phase, traffic flow and passenger drop-offs catch many travelers by surprise. According to the airport, the short-term parking lot across from the ticket lobby is now open for drop-offs and pickups. There's eventually a charge, but the first 45 minutes are free. Airport spokesman Shane Carter says, quote, "The canopy construction is the only major project the airport is planning during the expected busy summer travel season. The project is designed to provide weather protection for passengers in the drop-off area and is part of the airport's ongoing efforts to enhance passenger experience." So we can verify that right now you can expect some adjustments that may mean getting to the airport earlier. But after the work is done, your experience should be more comfortable, streamlined, and efficient as you board one of the more than 80 flights daily to get to your final destination.
Thank you, Karen. We were also told an 88-room Hampton Inn has recently opened on the airport property. It's one more amenity for flyers on a red-eye flight or leaving before the sun comes up. New 25% auto tariffs start next week on all imported passenger vehicles built outside the U.S., thanks to a new executive order from President Trump. He says the move is meant to encourage more car manufacturing in the states, but experts say the tariff could raise car prices by thousands for those that use parts from Mexico and Canada alone.
And I think anybody that is having to repair their vehicle or just service their vehicle are going to experience higher costs as well. And probably insurance. You think you get into one accident, that's a lot of parts. Those are all going to be affected by the tariff.
Many executives in the U.S. auto industry say they support the idea of made in America, but increasing manufacturing capabilities in the U.S. will take time and money, part of which may get passed on to the consumer as well. As the United States deals with one of the largest measles outbreaks in the past decade, new research shows a concerning trend regarding childhood vaccination rates after the COVID pandemic. Bradley Blackburn tells us more.
More cases of measles in Texas and New Mexico. The largest outbreak in the country remains in Texas, where more than 325 cases have been reported since January. One child has died.
Unfortunately, post-pandemic, rates of childhood vaccination have not bounced back.
The measles is among the highly contagious diseases that can be prevented with the vaccine. Overall, vaccinations among children declined during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, new research in pediatrics shows immunization rates for some illnesses still remain lower than pre-pandemic levels.
What we saw in this study, about 400,000 or so babies, looking at their vaccination rates by age 5 months, those have declined over the course of the pandemic from about 88% coverage down to 81% coverage by 2023. And by 12 months of age, these kids had still not caught up.
The study focused on the rotavirus vaccine, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis or whooping cough vaccine, and the pneumococcal conjugate vaccine. CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder.
We're concerned in particular about certain groups that are lagging behind, including babies of color, people who are low income and on Medicaid, and families that may not speak English as a first language. This is an issue because even tiny dips in vaccination rates can leave communities susceptible to outbreaks.
Dr. Gounder reminds for measles, 95% of the community needs to be immune to prevent an outbreak. Even a 1 or 2% drop can lead to widespread cases. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
In one of the most comprehensive bans of its kind, West Virginia has now outlawed foods and medications that contain some artificial dyes. The food dyes will not be allowed in school lunches in West Virginia beginning August 1st. It comes amid a nationwide push from scientists and government leaders for more restrictions on food additives that potentially have harmful health effects, particularly for children.
There is some evidence, at least for some kids, that this can increase the risk, these dyes can increase the risk of hyperactivity, sleeplessness, inattention. So especially for those kids where that impact has been seen and taking those foods away relieves those symptoms, for those kids especially, it is a good idea.
In January, the FDA stepped in to ban the artificial food coloring red number 3. The dye is used in foods like candy, cakes, and frosting. If you think the competition on the college basketball courts this month is tough, there's another kind of madness going on. High school seniors are battling to get into the college of their choice, and the competition is steep. Meg Oliver brings us the Eye on America.
Near Milwaukee, Wisconsin, hitting the right note at Greendale High School meant a lot of work for seniors Nikolai Galusha, Carly Anzac, and Brady McGravens.
What is your GPA?
4.0.
4.0.
3.82.
Despite stellar stats and robust resumes, they're facing major competition. The class of 2025 is the biggest and most diverse in history, with 3.9 million high schoolers graduating this year. That's why when it came to college applications, 18-year-old Galusha wasn't taking any chances.
I applied to 33.
33. Why did you apply to so many?
I just really wanted to broaden the options that were out there because it's really a lottery with these competitive schools.
Galusha spent months on those 33 submissions, but paid nothing. Fees typically range from $30 to $100, but many schools waive them to attract more applicants, and that's what's happened. Through March 1st, students turned in more than 8 million applications through the Common App, which is accepted at more than 1,000 schools.
Seeing people be in part of like 10 different clubs, be working since they were 12 years old, it's kind of hard not to compare yourself to that.
Another factor driving the 6% increase in applications, many universities no longer require ACT or SAT scores, including those used to reduce the number of applications to more selective universities.
I hate rejecting students.
John Burdick spent 40 years screening college applications at Cornell, the University of Southern California, and the University of Rochester.
Why are we seeing a record number of applications this year?
As the universities try to be more selective because that communicates value, students at the same time say, well, I want to get into the most selective place because that creates value for me. And so there's just an incentive on both sides to apply to more places and to take more applications all the time.
How much time does an admissions officer really spend on each application?
I don't want to break anybody's heart, but sometimes you know whether an application is going to go anywhere within 45 seconds.
So which way would positive y-squared go?
Some universities have been overwhelmed by the flood of submissions, handing out more deferments and pushing back acceptance dates to deal with the volume, keeping anxious students waiting even longer.
No matter how many applications they get, I'm just hoping that they take the time to read my essay and take good note of who I am.
After this 4 million person graduation peak, some relief is expected as class sizes shrink over the next 15 years.
What is your advice to next year's applicants?
I'd say don't try to be like somebody else. Just be the best you that you can be.
Advice that's easier to accept once the acceptances are in. For Eye on America, I'm Meg Oliver, Greendale, Wisconsin.
Still to come in your weekend wrap-up, a new pizza spot is the talk of the town in Little Rock, and our Hayden Bow gave you Texas there in this week's Eat It Up.
kind of one of those moments where you don't want it to end. you don't want to get full. You're going to be mad at yourself that you got full because you can't eat anymore because it's so good. This week on Eat It Up, we are in my neighborhood of Midtown Little Rock, not Midtown Manhattan, but that's not stopping us from getting some New York style pizza. Y'all, this place is the talk of the town right now. You can't find a parking space when they're open because of this incredible, unique pizza that is awesome, to say the least. Also the wings, best sellers right now, and some mozzarella sticks with the cheese will stretch feet and feet and feet and feet. So what do you say? Let's eat it up.
I'm a native to Arkansas. I'm a Jacksonville born and bred. But we went to Indiana for the past 10 years to develop our brand King Dough up there. You know, COVID happened. We decided it was time to come home. It's like get close to family. It's been a blessing. It's been the best. We welcomed it with open arms. We take the food super seriously and approach it creative and professional manner as we possibly can. But we also just a bunch of dummies. You know, like we don't take ourselves seriously at all. Problem child, my wife. She came up with it, and everybody says that it's from the movie, which, I mean, I do love the movie. I'm a child of the 90s, but it's really just because of who I am in the family, which is the problem child. I've been in the pizza industry for 20 years, starting from like a 17-year-old Vino's kid to working at Zaza and be a part of their program over there to Indiana doing our own thing. It's just kind of taking every little bit and piece that I've learned and kind of smashing it all together. The Little Devil is the most popular pizza probably, and it comes out and it's got like ricotta all over it, and hot honey and bacon and candied jalapenos. Call it like the fajitas for our pizza shop. Like, you know, somebody's walking through with it and they're like, oh, look at that. Exactly right. The wings are awesome. They're so good. We go through a 3-day process on them to like cure the wings, and we blanch the wings, then we fry the wings to order. All the dressings or sauces are made in-house, of course, too. How can you be mad about opening your doors and people being excited to see what you're doing and partake? And by and large, great reviews, and everybody's like, you gotta go check it out. We wanted it to be a neighborhood watering hole. It's kind of like the feel of all of it, but also when you sit down, you look at the shelf, it's like, oh, that's some really nice stuff we got going on here.
How about the Lake Hamilton iced tea? Come on, what a great name. That's awesome. Say you go to New York, say you go to the East Coast. I'm telling you, this pizza is something like Little Rock has not had before. The flavor is so good. These are meals where like you take a bite and you're like, I'll never forget this first experience of trying this pizza. But y'all know me. How many times have I eaten wings on Eat It Up? Quite a bit. Again, the flavor is just unbelievably outstanding. This is the one where you get it on the fingers. Yeah, no judgment. I can't believe I live within a mile of this place.
In our final story, a Jacksonville family opens up about the heartbreaking loss of their loved one. Amid their grief, they found unexpected comfort in the final moments they shared, moments that turned into a lasting gift, touching the lives of others in ways they never imagined.
He made me an aunt. He was my first nephew.
The bond between Jennifer and Kenneth was special. You could feel it in her words, effortless when it came to describing the person Kenneth was.
He just a burst of energy, a breath of fresh air. He was goofy, real goofy, like to make you laugh.
But on March 19th, Kenneth's 21-year-old life changed. He and his father were involved in a devastating accident on Highway 161 near Jacksonville.
They had given an update with my brother. They told us all his broken ribs and hands.
And as for Kenneth,
that's when we learned he wasn't gonna wake up. He was brain dead.
It was an unimaginable pain with a silver lining, as Jennifer and Kenneth's mother didn't know their next conversation would define his legacy.
What can we do? And I think that's when his mom started having a conversation about the organ donor situation.
As the pieces came together, Jennifer was struck by something. It was the final touch in a story of love, kindness, and destiny.
The day after that, they called her. It was like, we matched him with 5 other people. And so now it went from saving 1 life, because you know a heart is definitely a lifesaver, to saving 6.
It was as if Kenneth knew, even in his final days, he was giving.
At this time, we still didn't know about his ID. You look on his ID, it say he took it 3/14. This car accident was 3/19, 5 days later. And so it said donor.
Kenneth's final act of love came full circle as the hospital gave him a donor walk to honor his legacy.
There was never a question if he loved you. He always said it no matter what the situation was. So you tell people you love them.
For the Harris family, it's not just about surviving this loss. It's about honoring Kenneth's heart, both the one that saved lives and the one that will forever live on in their memories.
Who to give a better heart than his? Because his heart was so big, it was so full. I'm like, what a great heart another person will receive.
In Jacksonville, Rebecca Brown, THV 11 News. Kenneth's father is expected to make a full recovery, and we have a GoFundMe for the family posted right now on THV11.com. Well, that's it for the weekend wrap up. We'll see you next week.